Hey, beauties. Good afternoon to you or good evening to you. So, I was listening to the late, great, the very notable, the very esteemed, I call him the best preacher speaker. When I say preacher, not necessarily in terms of just vocal prowess, I'm talking in terms of knowledge and the ability to execute that knowledge and wisdom, impart that knowledge and wisdom for us to gain understanding. And that's the late, great Dr. Miles Monroe in our 21st century. And he said something that I found profound. And to be honest, I agree with him because we see how the world is. So we don't even need the statistics per se, not to say that I'm throwing science aside. That 90% of who we call leaders are really not true leaders. They're professional manipulators. What they do, they wield their power for you to do and force you to do their bidding. In other words, sometimes that is why you will find, for example, in workplaces, people experience bullying, psychological bullying, mental bullying, emotional bullying, social bullying, meaning the leaders find a way of creating discord. They have a thing called divide and conquer that I'm told is an army term or an army practice. So what we do, we gain forces, join with hands and hearts, even if we don't like the forces that we're joining hands and hearts with. But we're going to get rid of this one. It's like a Saul. He gathered his people against David, because there was envy and jealousy towards David. And so they gather people together and they create discord. People fear them. So people will see other people being treated poorly and badly, being treated in a condescending manner, try to made to look as if you're incompetent and you're not doing your job. No matter how great you're doing, no matter how much effort you're putting out, they crush it and they shred it, and they get people to be so fearful because they don't want to lose their jobs. They become quite manipulative. They have that Jezebel spirit, whether it's a male or female, and they manipulate the workers, they manipulate the lower staff. What they do also is that they micromanage everything. They have to just basically lead. They don't give middle managers a chance to lead something. They basically, as I said, they will micromanage, everything, and they will try to pit one person against the other if they don't like you. And what happens is that instead of them inspiring you to be great, they manipulate you into being a dung, into being nothing, into being like a bottle cap, or a piece of lint. These are not leaders. These are dictators. These are like Adolf Hitlers. They don't inspire. What they do, they create mayhem, they create discord, they create disunity, and you find that the place doesn't grow. What they do, they put band-aids on sores. So when an organization could soar and fly and become magnolias, they don't do that. They stifle their own consciences and they stifle, where the company can be great. So because the Saul, they didn't like David, didn't understand that having a David will bring favor, will bring blessings. Having a David can mean that the company will grow and become great and be very good. David may be he may be specialized in a particular area, but because that manager or leader has created some sort of vitriol around a David, and when I use David, it's just a representation, whether it's a male or a female, they're afraid to, or they can't bring themselves to ask that David to help them in a particular project or something that needs to be had or done. Sometimes they try to go around the world, but it doesn't work, because in a field that probably it's a fertile ground for only strawberries. No matter what you do, you probably can't plant the sucker for an orange or whatever it is, in that particular area. Maybe it is only for strawberries or berries. Anything else less than that, it may not be able to hold it or to attain it or to accommodate it. And that's a sad reality today. Look at what we see in the workplaces, especially here in Jamaica. We find that, many companies are not productive overall. You may have some things getting here, there, and done. When we look at the public sector, for instance, we see the decadence, and that clearly has to do with mismanagement. That clearly has to do with the misappropriation of human resources. That clearly has to do with poor stewardship. And I've often heard Dr. Monroe, the late great Dr. Miles Monroe, say, anything that you mismanage, you lose it, whether it's money, whether it's relationship, whatever is being given to you, if you're not a good steward of it, you will lose it. And even if you don't literally lose the worker, what will happen, you won't get the best results, because they don't trust you. They don't put out all that they can put out. They don't give of their very best, as they would say, to the particular company, because they are not treated with respect. They're not treated with value. They're not paid properly. When we look at the public sector workers, for instance, and we see how poorly they're treated, poorly they're paid, we recognize that the leadership above us is poor. When you look at companies across Jamaica, and we see how people are getting sick and getting ill, they don't get along well with their colleagues. They're not, thriving. They're not prospering. It tells a story that the leadership is poor, that the leadership is ineffective, that the leadership is inefficient, that they're really professional manipulators. They're not inspirers. A true leader inspires. A true leader sees greatness, and based on that greatness, others see the greatness and want to attain greatness as well. So it moves an individual into greatness. Once you are able to inspire somebody to be great, you're a true leader. Once you are able to inspire everyone to be great, big or small, whether you like the person or you don't, you have respect for humanity, you can be considered a great leader. That is who Moses was. That is who David was. To an extent, Solomon was like that at some point. Joseph additionally was a great leader. These were great. Joshua was a great leader. You have other people that I could call. Paul was a great leader. Paul basically, he was like a father to Timothy. He said, Timothy, I'm going to teach you some principles, man to man, so that you can become a great human being. So Paul basically unveiled himself to him. He gave everything. He revealed everything as much as he was able to. He didn't keep and hoard things for himself because he wanted to seem brilliant and bright and Timothy to seem dunce and stupid. He basically, in a loving, fatherly way, gave him all that he knew before, his time would have been up. And that is why he said to him, young man, do not let them despise your youth. Don't let them treat you like an outcast, like a dung, because you're young. Sometimes older people tend to do that. And they have this very bad habit, which I detest, of saying, young people, you need to do this. Young people, you need to tell some of the older ones that. Because a lot of these old people are broken. They are broken, they are broken, and they are broken. They're narcissistic. They're arrogant. And if God doesn't bend that tree, let me tell you, man, the world is going to be in even more difficult times. And the younger ones, if they see that and they take on that part and take that baton on, the world is in for a terrible, terrible roller coaster ride. A true leader inspires, doesn't manipulate. A true leader detests the spirit of Jezebel and Delilah, but basically is like a man similar to David, who is a man after God's own heart, a woman after God's own heart. You want to see people become great. You want to lift people up. That is who a true leader is. Anything outside of that, you're inefficient, you're ineffective, you're not a leader. The Bible said David treated people fairly and justly. He paid them well. So for example, if he had Jamaica to run and he saw what the public sector workers were earning, he would say, oh no, absolutely not. You guys will not be earning this. We can't be giving ourselves 100, 200, 300% increase or 179% increase and give you 20%. That algorithm is way off. It is unjust to its highest. In fact, I call it illegal and immoral. It is evil. It is wicked. I would make sure that you come up to par, even if you don't get the 100%, but nothing less than 50, 60, 70, 80% increase, for example. A true leader inspires, a true leader motivates, a true leader creates transformation and behavior change for the better, physically, financially, socially, and mentally. Guys, follow me on TikTok, subscribe to my YouTube channel, share this.